Hello people of BookTube, Megan here, and time for another book review. Today, I'm going to be talking about The Lost Prince by Julie Kagawa, and this is book 1 in the Call of the Forgotten series, which is the spin-off slash sequel, however you want to call it, to the Iron Fae. In this trilogy, we are following Megan's half-brother, Ethan. It's been like 12, 13 years since the last book, so Ethan is now a 17-year-old. And unfortunately, he is still able to see the Fae. And also, unfortunately, they just don't seem to want to leave him alone. He has spent the better part of the last 12, 13 years trying to stay unnoticed by the Fae, try and not get their attention, try and just live his life. So we start the book off with Ethan starting his first day at a new school. The last school he got kicked out of because of a incident involving fire and red caps. He's not looking forward to it. It's a little ways into the school year, so that just makes it doubly awkward and frustrating for him, being not only the new kid, but the new kid like a little ways into the school year. So his plan is just basically to try and get through the school year. He is almost to graduation. He just needs to make it till then, and then he doesn't have to deal with people. He doesn't have to deal with high school bullshit. He doesn't have to deal with all the crap that comes with high school and just being treated different, being treated like a delinquent based on how he dresses and acts. But unfortunately, that just isn't in the cards for him. Not only is one of the most popular girls in the school trying to interact with him despite the fact that he's clearly giving leave me the heck alone vibes off, but not only did he also get involved with a half-breed puka who goes to his school, he has also been seeing these strange fae out and about. Fae he doesn't recognize. Fae that are weird and different, and that's saying a lot considering how weird some of the fae can be. So against Ethan's better judgment and what he had hoped to avoid, he does get dragged back into the world of the Never Never and the shenanigans that come with the Never Never. So as with all my previous Iron Fae reviews, this is a re-review for me. I have read this series yet, I have old reviews up for it, but because it's been a hot minute since I've picked these books up, I'm re-reviewing to update how my opinions and thoughts are on this series, and also to get a nice little reread in before the new Iron Fae series that's coming out in 2021 is released. Want to have a nice, refreshed memory. For anyone who's interested, I'll probably have the original review for this book up from like 5 years or longer ago, up in a card somewhere. And before I go too far into my thoughts and opinions, I do feel I should say there is a novella, however it's said, that takes place between the Iron Knight, the last book in the Iron Fae series, and this one. I believe it's called The Iron Prophecy. It is in the Iron Legends bind-up. I personally don't feel it's a required reading for this series. I actually read the Call of the Forgotten series before I read that, because before I picked the series up, I didn't know that that novella was a thing, or how important it could or could not be. And I personally kind of enjoy not having that little background. I felt it put me on edge a bit more. It made me more invested. It made me more curious of what the heck was going on. But after reading it, I can imagine that even with that background knowledge, you're still feeling really invested and like curious and wanting to know what the heck was going on. So I feel like you could read this without reading that short story. So I feel like whether you read the short story or not, it doesn't make too much of a difference, in my opinion. So I just felt the need to throw that out there in case anyone was curious and might want to read the short story before this. So yeah. So I do want to say I found it interesting getting a point of view in this world, for lack of better words, from a human's point of view. From someone who is not part Fae, but also someone who knows about the Fae, who more or less grew up knowing about the Fae. And from someone who definitely does not have the best opinion on the Fae. Not that I can blame Ethan. I mean, he was kidnapped when he was a little kid by these scary monsters to use as bait to lure his sister in. That's, I feel, would be pretty damn traumatic. And not only that, but once he is saved, his sister is just pulled away from him. She is forced to leave them, and even when she has the opportunity to come back, she doesn't. Not that that is completely Megan's fault. When she became the Iron Queen, she can't exactly abandon her people. But also, as a little kid, that's not going to make much of a difference. You still lost your sister, someone you were close to, someone you looked up to. That's going to mess you up. And then to have these memories, and it's not exactly like you can go to therapy for that kind of experience without being thought as insane. And then he goes through the rest of his life seeing the Fae, seeing the stuff they do, being tormented by them. I can't really blame him for his less than optimistic attitude. I can't really blame him for how he acts. Though there were points where he got a little too broody for my opinion. Definitely had a chip on his shoulder. While I couldn't fault him for that, it could get a little frustrating. And that frustration was amplified a bit by the fact that I could see where he was coming from. In this book, I was super happy to see some old faces that were near and dear to my heart, even if they were just very brief appearances, like with Megan, Ash, Puck, Grimm. It made me happy to have these familiar faces in, even if it was only for a couple pages. I do enjoy Mackenzie's character. She, I think, is adorable. I do like how her thoughts and opinions and her view of the world is much different than Ethan's. I thought that kind of provided a nice little contrast for the two of them. And yeah, I feel any more I want to say will lead into spoilery territory, so without further ado, I'm going to go into spoilers. So if you have not read this book yet, highly suggest you click away now and come back after you catch up. Alright, so where to begin? I was grinning like a fool when Kieran came in. I do remember quite a bit from reading it before. I remembered Kieran, I remembered who he was. Also the fact that we got a possible glimpse of Ash's future in the Iron Knight, and it involved a son named Kieran. So between the two of those factors, not too much of a surprise who he was, but I do have a soft spot for Kieran. Or I did when I read the series initially. Whether that holds true or not now, we'll see. I do enjoy how his behavior just throws Ethan for such a loop. A fairy that apologizes, one who admits his mistakes and accepts them, one who is sincere, one who doesn't want to manipulate somebody. Just everything about Kieran just seems to blow Ethan's mind. And that's even before he finds out that Kieran is his nephew. And I will say, there were times through this book where I forgot that fact. Like, I remembered, oh yeah, Kieran, Megan and Ash's son. But part of my brain just still had trouble connecting him to being Ethan's nephew. I don't know if it's just the same age or just how they act around each other. It still kind of blows my mind, like, yeah, they're nephew and uncle. I mean, quite a bit probably also has to do with the fact that this whole idea of having a nephew, of Megan keeping the fact that she has a kid from his family for over a decade. Him kind of like coming to terms with that. I can understand that probably has an effect on just the dynamic as well, because this is from his point of view. And because this is a reread for me, and I do remember why Megan kept this fact from Ethan and her family, as well as the fact that I read Iron Prophecy. I'm not going to go too much into detail because I don't want to trip up and accidentally say something that is spoilery for a future book. So that is a topic that I'm just not going to mention all in this review or go into it all. There was a few things about Kenzie that I was kind of about, but that is from someone who is a reader, who is in reality and not in a fictional book. As someone who has read a lot of books involving the Fae, her just being so willing to make a deal with one, to be willing to accept the sight so she will always see them, I was internally screaming a bit. Like, no, you're being stupid. I understand why you're doing this. I understand between wanting to help Ethan, despite the fact that they're strangers, more or less, throughout most of the book, and her wanting to see as much in the world as she can because of her cancer, her wanting to see as much in the world as she can before she potentially dies from it. I understand that. Fully understand that, and I can respect that, but at the same time, internally screaming, like, that girl is lucky she only gave up, like, possibly a few months of her life. Very lucky that that was all that she gave up. Because things could have gone so much worse. Especially considering that this whole Fae Never Never territory is completely new to her. Unlike Ethan, who has spent the better part of his life exposed to it, learning from it, researching it for his own safety. Here she is just like willy-nilly making deals like, yeah, okay. Give me the sight, I'll give up a couple months of my life. Let's do it. Like I said before, I am happy that we got to see some familiar faces like Puck. I was also grinning when I was reading Puck's entrance. I adore Puck. He is one of my favorite characters. Seeing him again just made me so happy. Ash, Megan. I do like how Ethan, while he has some bitterness towards Megan, seeing her again, he was genuinely happy. That was like really, not emotional, but like heartfelt reunion I felt with them. I totally understand his anger and resentment towards Ash, because in his eyes, Ash is the one who took his sister away from him. So, can't blame him too much. And also the fact that I don't think he actually witnessed the fight between Puck, Megan, and Ash. When Ash was possessed by, Virus's little bug. But I can understand maybe that first introduction to Ash being traumatic as well. This big scary guy coming in and just freezing your whole house. And then trying to kill your sister. Not the best memory. It was fantastic seeing Grimalkin again. I just love that sassy cat. Made me so happy to see him again. Even seeing Lennon She was great. She didn't change a bit. Love her. And also just absolutely adore Razor. I want a Razor. He is adorable, he is precious, even when he's being frustrating. And I love the fact that Kenzie is just so able to get him under control, while even Kieran seems to have trouble, like, keeping him in line. Especially with the scene with the sheep. Razor just going off to harass all these sheep in that field. Kieran trying to call him back. Kenzie just whistle, Razor, get over here. I loved it. I don't know why that whole thing was so entertaining to me. The Forgotten Queen is scary. The whole concept of the Forgotten is both scary and sad. I don't know if Julie took the idea of the Forgotten from, like, existing folklore and legends, or if it's something she came up with on her own. It honestly could go either way, but just the whole concept of the Forgotten I greatly enjoyed. And it's also a really sad concept as well. To be an immortal being and then just slowly fade away with time as people forget you, forget your name, your stories, until you even start to forget yourself because of it, until you just fade away into nothingness. That whole concept is just sad. And I can very much understand why they would not want to go through this experience, how they don't want this to be their fate. And I fully understand them trying to fight this, to hold on and to find a way to exist through any means possible. And I can even understand the Queen's motive as well. These are her people. She wants to save herself and her people and not just disappear. The way they're going about it is messed up and horrifying, draining the glamour from other Fae, the traditional Fae, and half-breeds, thus making the other Fae disappear and really messing up the half-breeds. I understand desperate times call for desperate measures, but where's the line? And I honestly can't remember what they do in the second book. I know Kieran asked the Queen to stop that, to stop attacking half-breeds, for attacking the exiles in the human world, for attacking Fae, but I just can't remember what she does in response. So I am very much excited to revisit that and rediscover that. I believe I mentioned that I had a soft spot for Kieran earlier. When he didn't immediately start helping Ethan while he was being attacked by forgotten Fae near the end, that soft spot did start to vanish just a little bit. Just, what are you doing? Your uncle is clearly outnumbered, and you're just letting him get sliced up. Why are you waiting so long to jump in and say or do something? God damn it, Kieran. And I feel there was something else I was gonna mention, but I can't for the life of me remember what it was, so I'm just gonna stop myself here. For anyone still watching, what'd you think? Did you like this book? Did you not like it? Are you somewhere in between? Do you like it more than the Iron Fae so far? Less than? Is there anything that I didn't talk about that you want to discuss? Let me know. Let's get discussion going. So yeah, that is it for this video, and I hope to see you guys next time.